Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show. Good morning, Shi.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending the time.
I'm so glad to be here.
I feel as if this conversation is very needed in this environment, in this day to day. She coaches ambitious women with ADHD to build businesses that work with their brains and not against them. Through a strength-based, solution-focused, and self-compassionate approach, she helps her clients ditch productivity hacks, embrace intentional time and energy use, and create aligned, sustainable success without the sleazy sales or marketing overwhelm. So I would love to know how you got into this work and, why this kind of specifically.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I can start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I guess I have a background in education. So I went to school for elementary education and I taught preschool and first grade for 4 years in different international and diverse settings. And it was in that space where I was like, okay, I there's something I love about teaching, but what I was really drawn to was like that personal development and growth part of it. And so then I transitioned from teaching into coaching. And of course, it's like, oh, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to make it out on my own. And starting a business could be a big struggle, right? And for me, it was really making that transition of, I felt like I was like moving away from something I didn't want, the 9 to 5, a boss telling me what to do. And honestly, teaching for me was exhausting, just that schedule and the demand of it all, that it really, like self-employment just felt like a really good fit for me. And with coaching and to be able to help people to really understand like what lights them up in their work and to be able to pursue that wholeheartedly was something I was just super passionate about. And so I just sort of continued to pursue that journey of becoming a coach, becoming a business mentor. But I think it was around, really trying all the different marketing tactics, all the different sales strategies, and really feeling like this is really hard,
Yeah.
right? This is really hard. And why does it feel like everyone else is just like getting it and it's easier for other people? They're just like, like doing it. And around the same time, that was whenever I got diagnosed with ADHD. I was 35 at the time. And I think looking back on that and really understanding that what I needed was different than what other people needed. And really understanding my brain, and it has certain strengths, it has certain brilliances. But for me, the way that I was working was so like draining and counterintuitive. So part of my story is really just again understanding, okay, what is my vision here? And then what can I do to be able to help me do work that feels like fun and fulfilling?
I feel like we miss a lot of the fun and fulfilling when you're a business owner trying to, grow,
Yeah.
scale, whatever it is. Especially I feel like with social media too, it's like, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that, and I need to go, oh, wait, I'm not doing enough. And, it's a crazy time out there.
Oh yeah.
So, when you got diagnosed with ADHD, how did that change things really in your business, in your life?
That's such a good question. I think the way that changed for me in my life first was I think it just helped me understand that there wasn't something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Being diagnosed with ADHD is such an interesting phenomenon because it's like I've had this brain my entire life, right? I'm just like, oh, I have these thoughts. This is what I'm constantly thinking song lyrics, right? Or like the way when I learn one thing, I'm also thinking about how it connects to this other thing that I'm learning as well too, and making those connections. And so I've had this brain my entire life. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have this thing called ADHD. And people are telling me like, oh, like it's not good to be messy or like, or you might feel sensitive around rejection and things like that. And so a part of it was really helpful in that awareness and to being like, oh, actually like what my experience is, my lived experience is valid and it makes sense. And also the way that I do things, it works for me. It may not make sense for other people, but it can work for me. And the way that I changed my business is it helped me to really understand and get clear on what my definition of success is. I think before my diagnosis, I really wanted to be like, success for me was Oprah, level, like right now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I think with ADHD and with just like aging and growing up and maturing, it's really understanding, like for me, success is okay. I just want to work with people and make a difference in their everyday life. And then I want to go home. I'm going to close my laptop and I'm going to go home and spend time with my family and my kids and really honoring my energy and understanding, hey, I might only have like 4 productive hours a day. How can I actually make the best of that instead of trying to like just overdo on my capacity?
Yeah, I feel like that's a big one, right? It's like, you can be more productive sometimes in 4 hours than like 8 if you do the right thing instead of just trying to fill time just because just 'cause, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what would you say you primarily help clients through? Like, what are the biggest things that you see come up that you help them move through?
Yeah. So a big piece of that, like what you're saying, is kind of the identity piece of understanding that your productivity is not tied to your worth.
Yeah, that's good.
And then when what I see, especially in women starting their own business, is they start their own business for that sense of freedom. And then once they start it, it's like, oh, I have to actually determine my office hours, or I actually have to decide what my offers are and my pricing and things like that too. And so there's like two big things that I work with clients on. It's really again like understanding your strengths in your brain and what value you can bring to the marketplace and your clients. But then also, how can we set up your business in a way that can structurally support your work so that you're not continuing to, get freaked out whenever a client sends you an email with feedback or continuing to undercharge for the work that you do.
Yeah, that's both of those are big ones because then they
Yeah.
ultimately always lead to burnout too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
With, working with people, like with people's brains, right? Instead of against them. Like, what does that really look like in real life? Like, what are the
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a couple of things. I think one thing is just like the brain health of it. So a lot of times it's just like understanding like are you taking care of yourself, like are you sleeping? We talk a lot about like morning routine and bedtime routines and like are you just even like getting enough rest, because
Mhm.
if you're not rested you're going to feel a lot more dysregulated and just stressed out during your day to day. Are you eating right regularly, right? Are you instead of just like snacking at your computer, like are you actually taking regular scheduled lunch breaks and meals or movement and like walking outside or taking your dogs out and things like that. So we take a look at how can you actually like physically take care of your brain, but then also we look at your thoughts as well too, and the beliefs that are really kind of like running the show, so to speak, in your business. Because a lot of times people think, oh, like it's a strategy problem, but really it could be um, your mindset or your beliefs around it as well too. And so that's kind of how we take a look at taking care of your brain, is to really understand sometimes what your thoughts are, they're not really true, right?
Mhm.
Or there's ways that you can shift them, or there's ways that you can still pursue your goals without letting fear and shame and doubt hold you back.
That's I think every single entrepreneur needs to hear that. It's not for the most part, it's not always a content strategy. It's an energetic misalignment. It's, thoughts, beliefs, those are the things I feel like truly hold people back from reaching their full potential in business.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
But I think they're the less
Absolutely.
fun things because it's like, well, but just tell me the content strategy. Tell me the strategy. What am I missing? Right.
Yeah, just tell me the tips, the hacks, and the tactics, please.
Yeah. Because those are easier, And then suddenly you realize you're doing that, you're doing that, you're doing that. It's not working. You get frustrated, you get burnt out. You're like, why am I even doing this? Am I meant to be doing this? You tell yourself a story, It's like, man, I'm not cut out for being a business owner, right? And it's like,
Exactly.
no, you really just have to face sometimes the inner work. That's harder.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
what are some of those things that you see maybe most often come up, the more inner work, that you have to reframe?
Yeah. So let's take like the marketing, for example, right? A lot of times, what I see, especially in women, is your visibility, right? Your ability to be seen and your ability to share your opinions and your voice. And so, a lot of times, what the beliefs come down to is maybe sometimes you feel like you don't have something valuable to share. Or
Yeah.
maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, like everybody else is out there kind of saying the same thing I am. What do I have that's different or new or fresh to say? Or even just like I think that's what it comes down to. It's like, do you believe that you have a message that somebody needs to hear today? And if so, like, it's your voice. You can use your own perspective, your own spin on it to be able, because somebody needs your version of it. An example I like to give. So I just recently saw a local production of Dreamgirls, the musical, right? You know that song where I'm not telling you, like she just like belts it out. It's like so memorable.
Mhm.
And then after I watched that show, I immediately went on a rabbit trail of like all the different artists that
Mhm.
sang that song. And every performance, right? It's the same song,
Mhm.
same message, but different artist, different performance, different audience, different time. And you get a different experience
Mhm.
each time as well, too. And so I think that's what women need to hear as well, too, is that you might have the same quote unquote job, right? Like my job as a business coach is really the same as another job as business coach, but someone in your audience needs to hear your version of it,
Mhm.
right? The way that you express yourself, the way that you do the riffs and the runs, right? The different, the little things, the little nuances in your performance. And so I think once women start to get that, I mean, especially pair that with ADHD, where you've been told, oh, you're too much, or I don't understand. Like maybe they feel like they've been misunderstood a
Mhm.
lot. But I say, like, be louder. That's the whole point of marketing, right? You have to like say it more often, say it over and over again, say it, in many different ways. And also, if somebody hears it and they misunderstand, it's okay. It'll happen. You're safe, right? In speaking your opinion.
Yeah, and that's such a big one, especially when you work with social media. It's like, if
Yeah.
somebody doesn't wanna hear what you say or misunderstands, that's also their projections, not you, right?
Yeah.
That's a hard one because so many people are like, I want everybody to like me."
I want
You know?
everyone to like me. Yes. Or what can I say that will appease and people please
Yeah, and
everyone?
sometimes too, especially in businesses, like, that's not what people need to hear. They need to hear the other stuff that might
No.
trigger people and might push some people away, and it's meant to hit the right person, right? Um,
Yeah, exactly.
it's the right personal, and that's, I think, especially prevalent in business coaching is being authentic to who you are, right? And not trying to
Hmm.
conform to other things because 'cause you've been taught maybe the way you are is not good enough, right? And so we try to like mold into other people's, and it's like, no, you're great the way you are. You just have to show up more
Yeah.
authentically because that's why people are going to hire you, and that's why people are going to listen to this podcast. What even though I have had many people talk about ADHD, they're going to get different nuggets out of this one because of the way that
Hmm.
you talk, the way that and maybe one thing, that really stood out to them, right? And that could change
Yeah,
the trajectory for people too, right?
exactly. Yeah, and I think what like, you bring us such a good point of what's the ultimate goal of social media of sharing your message, right? It can just take one nugget, one little thing that could set somebody that can change somebody's life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I think people really underestimate the power, both positive and negative, of social media, but you know, but that your story is important to tell. It doesn't have to be as dramatic as other people's stories, but that there's still relevance and it's very much needed. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so what would you say are maybe two or three little tidbits that you would tell somebody if they're maybe wanting to start a business, maybe they are having a business, maybe they're just in a career, trying to kind of get through the day. Maybe they're not sure they have ADHD, they think they have it, maybe they've diagnosed with it. What would you kind of tell them to kind of gear and, steer them in a good direction?
That's such a good question. I mean, the way that I look at business is kind of like almost like a big experiment, and I think that's a good, and then that's a good thing. What I mean by that is, and I would say, like, I think you can also look at your season of life and your season of business really in like a 3 month period. I think, and really being able to almost like focus in on what's in front of you, what's in front of you for the next 3 months. I think a lot of times, especially if you're like a big visionary person, you're thinking like you're thinking way ahead, 30, 40, 50 years from now. But then what you're struggling with is like, what's do I have to do today in order to do that? But I think like really focusing on the 3 months is enough for you to vision forward, but also um, anchors you into the present of what needs to be done right now. So if you're starting a business, it's really about validating your idea. So what do you want to offer? Who can I work with, and how can I get started on doing that? Maybe for free or for like a beta round of work. And then from there, you're going to get so much data to be able to know, okay, what can I improve? What did I like about this? Not like about this? What can I tweak? What can I improve and change? Um, so that's what I would advise people to do, because I think a lot of times what's hard is you have a big vision and then really anchoring it to your past or your present, but then be able to like make forward momentum and not get stuck in analysis paralysis. For that it doesn't have to be forever. You are welcome to change your mind, especially if you're in business for a long time. You will change your mind. So might as well like get that skill under your belt. So that's what I would advise too. And the other piece of advice too is, I mean, I'll make a plug for coaching. I think coaching is really helpful in starting and growing a business. Not for someone to tell you what to do, but more to help you to understand, like, okay, what is important to you? What really matters to you? What are the ways that you're like just continuing to get stuck or getting your own way? And how can you move past that? I think having a coach to be able to not only see your blind spots to help you through them, but really understand, okay, these are the things that light you up when you do it. Do more of that, please. I think having a coach in your corner is really valuable in business, because you're going to have days where you're like, I don't know, like, do people even want what I have to say? Or, oh, I tried this thing and it bombed. What can I do? And a coach can really be there. Be like, hey, again, like, let's take a look at, hey, is it a thought or a belief that's the problem here? Or is it something in the business that you have to actually change? And to be able to distinguish between the two can be really helpful, so that you're not just being like, oh, I'm just not cut out for this.
Yeah. I always laugh with analysis paralysis and that big picture, especially when you're a visionary, because it's so hard to be like, I have so many ideas. But I do think having a coach, I mean, I remember when I started my business, at day one, I hired a coach. Like I was like, I want somebody to help me do this, not only more efficient, but faster. Like you will
Yeah.
get there faster when you have a coach, especially if you tend to be a little more neurodivergent, where it's like it's very distracting. On I could do this to start, or I could do this to start, I could do this. You get trapped in analysis paralysis, and then suddenly, 6 months down the road, you still haven't really gotten your first client, right? And it's not that you're
Yeah.
capable, it's not that you're not able, it's just that you need to find something that works better for you. And sometimes having somebody put on those blinders for you is so invaluable. And I know that you do one-on-one coaching, and I would love for you to tell people just where, if people were wanting to learn more about what you do, look into coaching, where would they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Shi.Chen Coaching or my website, ShiChenCoaching.com.
Perfect. And I will link both of those down below in the show notes so you guys can go find her and, ask questions or just share a little tidbit. Maybe you heard this from the interview and you're like, oh, I really liked what you said about this. I love hearing people's like little nugget takeaways. Um, but I really appreciate you being here, sharing this wisdom. And yes, if you guys found this really helpful, we'd love to leave a review or just reach out to us. Tell us that this was helpful, and we love to hear takeaways. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next show.
Thank you.